I am a 52-year-old Aboriginal woman, and I had my first opportunity to visit the place where my mother was raised. It is crazy to think that it took me so long to see this place. I only lived 30 minutes from the location. My mother grew up in a residential school, and I had no idea where it was located. I was so ignorant of the way my mother grew up. She would only share a few short stories about her childhood. One story she shared: I went to the residential school with my mom. They took me in, gave me a bath, and changed my clothes. When I came out, my mom was still sitting there, so I told her, I'm ready to go now. I didn't realize that I had to stay. I thought I was only going there to get cleaned up. My mom would have been approximately 4 years old. I cannot imagine the thoughts that went through my grandmother's mind. She had no choice but to leave her sweet daughter there. The sadness, fear, and grief must have been overwhelming and heartbreaking. My mother must have been so traumatized the first night she had to stay in a strange place and no chance of seeing her mother for a very long time. What a shock for a young 4-year-old girl to be placed in the hands of strangers. She must have thought, what is wrong with me? Why isn't my mother coming back to get me? I grieve for my mom, the losses that have never been spoken about, the loss of nurturing, hugs, kisses, conversations, dresses, hair combing, bath times, family times together, sibling ties, birthdays, celebrations, and traditions, the loss of culture, land, identity, and language. Growing up in the residential school, my mom would not have been treated as someone special, someone to be taken care of with love and compassion. I remember my mom sharing a story when her son, my brother, was in the hospital. She would not go visit him. She said it would be too hard on him when it was time for her to leave. This was likely due to her experience when her mom was forced to leave her at the residential school, and how hard it was on her. My mom contracted tuberculosis when she was in the residential school and was sent to a sanitarium. It must have been a very difficult time. Her lungs were scarred and her emotional well-being as well. I'm not sure if her mom was able to visit her there. I don't believe so. When it came to physical ailments such as a cold sore, my mom would not want to be seen, and she'd say, I look so ugly. My mom would never go to the hospital, and I would watch her suffer. I came home from school with a sprained ankle, and I showed her, and she asked, you showed your foot to the teachers with that callus on your foot? It seemed like she was ashamed of appearance and could not show empathy. One of the legacies of residential school is nobody addresses the feelings of the heart. I really struggled with empathy with my own children, being able to hug them and identify emotions. In retrospect, my mom was affected by her experiences at residential school. My mother would put up with abuse. She would say, Kiam, don't say anything. My mom did not express her emotions very often, and she did not show a lot of affection. I did not receive a lot of nurturing by my mother when I became school-aged. For example, hugs, kisses, and hearing my mom say, I love you. Due to intergenerational trauma in my life, I would also experience abuse, family violence, sexual assault, family suicide, and alcoholism. I had to learn how to heal from my traumas by faith in my Heavenly Father, receiving His mercy and grace. My children, family, teachers, peers, counselors, and education have contributed to my healing journey. To healthcare professionals, I would ask that they would be more empathetic to Aboriginal people. A lot of Aboriginal people came from a shame-based system that was taught to them in the residential schools. A lot of the Aboriginal people will not seek medical help unless necessary. Sometimes it is too late to receive the medical treatment because they've waited too long, which has caused Aboriginal people to experience premature death.